Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sex Podcast, starring your host, Jonathan Sexual.
Hey.
There he is. And I'm your co-host, Rob Jabaz. Today, we're talking about a very erotic film. It's called Betty Blue.
That's right.
Yes, good. You're going to have to jump in quicker.
I agree.
That it's a very erotic film.
Yeah, I guess so.
Anyways, how's everything going? How's your week been?
Fine. How about you?
Pretty good. I actually had a little bit of a crisis with casting.
Oh, yeah?
Well, I mean, it's just basically like, you make a decision and then later on you kind of are like, oh shit, maybe this person would be better.
Who was your first choice? Peter North?
Yeah, it was Peter North.
You went with Ron Jeremy?
No, I didn't. No, definitely not Ron Jeremy. I went with that guy who says drop in loads, whatever his name is.
Oh, shit.
I know what it is. It's Nick Manning.
Nick Manning.
Yeah. I went with Nick Manning.
Damn.
What's the name of that other porn star? The one that like has that sort of funny, stupid-looking face. He kind of looks like Conan the Barbarian a little bit. His name's like. Do you know who I'm talking about? He's got like long hair.
He's like hair.
He's like a 2000s like porn star, male porn star.
I don't know.
2000s male porn star with long hair, does comedy.
Oh, he does comedy.
Oh, of course, Evan Stone.
I don't know.
You don't know? You've definitely seen this man have sex.
No.
That's him old. Okay. Well,
that's him old.
Okay, here's him younger. You don't remember this guy?
No.
Wow. Okay. I guess you're you stopped watching porn, or maybe there's just like a blind spot. Right.
With Evan Stone.
Blind spot with Evan Stone. He doesn't do comedy. Like it's not. I don't mean to say that he did stand-up comedy, but like in like porn movies, he'll often, try to do funny stuff. Like when they're not fucking, like he'll kind of, be kind of like a comedy actor or try to do sort of add humor to some of the scenes. Right. Well, okay, let's keep going here. So you got Evan Stone, you got yourself Nick Manning.
So I was more of like the era of Peter North and T.T. Boy and
excuse me,
those guys.
Yeah, it's almost the same.
Randy West.
Excuse me, it's almost the same era.
Randy Spears.
Yeah, Randy Spears. Randy Spears and Evan Stone are like of the same era. You just
Rocco Siffredi.
Oh, the legend Rocco Siffredi. He's absolutely captivating in his
John
eroticism.
Stagliano.
I don't know who that is.
He's Buttman.
Oh, okay. Who goes to Brazil?
And all the places.
All the places where there's butts.
Where there's butts. If there's a butt in your city, it's coming.
Yeah, that was funny, that clip that I sent you where the guy's like, then they butted up my butt and they loaded up my rectum full of hot peppers. Oh, it was the most excruciating pain I ever felt in my entire life.
Wait, what prison is that? Chili pepper prison?
Oh, yeah, must have been the California State Prison.
It's a Mexican prison.
Right, it's on the border.
We just shoved a bunch of tacos and spicy chips up his ass.
Yep, we filled his cornhole full of corn tortillas.
Ghost Pepper's chip challenge.
Yeah. Okay, listen, we got to stop this tomfoolery.
We've got business to do. We only have a couple of minutes to get this done.
Right, it's true. We better hurry. We need to talk about Betty Blue. I was really counting on Susie's input on this thing to kind of, ask some of these questions, but that will come up. But okay, I guess just a couple of fucking guys,
white cis male opinion.
Right, absolutely.
That's what people come here for anyway.
Right, like I mean, well past their sexual prime, to talk about this erotic movie about sort of like, I guess you wouldn't like, I wouldn't say like young love our main character is probably around 30, I think. I think that's actually made clear in the film. He's like...
I do want to say, I saw this movie, I actually rented, I'm pretty sure I rented the VHS in like the late, whenever, 80s or 90s or whenever it was on VHS. And I rented it because I knew that it had, or I had heard that it had a lot of nudity in it, and the main actress looked really hot, and so I rented it with the sole purpose of, jerking off to the movie. And
that's why they call you Jonathan Sexual.
And the movie I saw was only 2 hours or somewhere under that.
Yep.
And I think the only good nudity was that sort of opening scene when they're on the bed having sex.
Right.
Which is a great opening scene for, I think, any movie.
Right.
So when you mentioned like, hey, let's watch this movie for the podcast, and I saw that it was 3 hours, I was confused. I was like, what? 3 hours? What does that mean? Because I had no memory of it being 3 hours, and so I like Googled it, and I was just like, oh, there was an original edit that the director edited it down to 2 hours, and then I guess like years later when it was released on DVD or whatever, he suddenly like put all this stuff back in that he had taken out.
Right.
And there's a lot more. I do have to say that like a significant amount of the nudity, I think, is in the unedited version that we watched.
Maybe you just were jerking off too much, and you just the time flies when you're having fun jerking off.
No, I remember being fucking pissed, man. I thought there was gonna I thought it was just gonna be loaded with nudity and sex, and I was feeling somewhat disappointed.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. I mean, how old were you? Like 13?
I was like 42. No, I was like I don't know. Whenever it was on VHS, I don't really remember.
You switched out of that joke too quickly. You should have let that go for a little while. So okay, whatever. So this movie starts, and it's about a guy named Zorg, and he's like in his 30s, and he starts fucking this woman named Betty who's like 19. I think that it's actually stated that in the movie. Beatrice Dalle, I think, was not too far off, like maybe like 21 or 22 at the time. This is her first movie. What a like insane debut. Like just because there's the whole movie, like she's in every single shot basically, and the whole movie rests on her shoulders. Like she carries the whole thing on her shoulders. Like in terms
I don't know. I think there's probably more. There's probably more of Zorg than there is of her.
Well, listen,
especially in the edited version.
Oh, right.
But yeah, still great debut, great performance. She's great.
I mean, just in terms of like the, Zorg kind of plays the straight man, and and then Betty plays kind of like the wild card. So I mean, Betty is the main attraction, and Zorg is just kind of like I don't know, like what you bounce your energy off of. But let's talk about the cast first. John Hughes Anglade is Zorg. Beatrice Dalle as Betty. That's really all you need to know. Everybody else is just kind of coming in and out.
Right.
John Hughes Anglade did not commit suicide.
Thank goodness.
Yeah,
I think that's a first for this podcast.
Right. There's actually he was a survivor of a terrorist attack, not a terrorist attack, but just like a train attack, where someone went crazy. What do you call it? Trying to kill everybody on the train or something. So he was present during that. That's the only thing it says on his Wikipedia about his personal life. So there you go. He's a veteran. We start the movie, as Johnny already said, with this sort of prolonged kind of like pushing in sex scene where Zorg himself is pushing in to Betty, and
also like it's like just a single camera, like wide shot of them fucking for.
it's a wide shot that's pushing in. That's what I'm saying.
So it's like, and it's, I think it lasts for how long would you say? Like 5 minutes?
Longer than me. Yeah, longer than me. You know what I mean? Longer than me when I have sex. Yeah, like
So
probably
2 minutes.
Probably I'd say like actually it feels like 2 or 3 minutes. But yeah, so like it's this sex scene. You know that I remember listening to a commentary track for Sorcerer that William Friedkin did, and I can't remember if this was his idea or if he was taking it from someone else, like one of the older like golden age of Hollywood guys. But it was like you always want to open your movie with a murder. You always want to open your movie with someone getting killed, and then that'll hook the audience. Well, the French, let's open the movie with a graphic and passionate sex scene. That'll get the audience hooked. One thing that should also be noted in a broad sense is just that I think that this movie, especially the opening bit where they're at those little weird shacks, is really, really beautiful. Like the location that they've decided to shoot this in is really nice. Just this sort of French desert, and I don't know. I just found the movie to be really striking right off the bat. Like it's kind of just incredibly well like shot and colored and styled. It's great. I got hooked right away, regardless of the opening sex scene.
That first chapter is probably the best part of the movie.
Yeah, I think so too. You're right, and that's probably what people remember. There was this one, and also, what's that one called? Deathline, that British movie about those guys living underground. Is that a movie that you know? It's called like Deathline.
The one up with like Donald Pleasance and there's the cannibal that lives in the subway. Raw meat.
Yeah. Is it also called Raw Meat?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know.
I don't know the other title. I know Raw Meat though.
Oh, what I say before? Deathline.
Deathline. Nightline with Ted Koppel.
It's Nightline with Ted Koppel. No, it's Deathline, which it's a British film that is directed by the same guy, Gary Sherman, who also did Dead and Buried and also Poltergeist 3. If you remember that one, the one with the mirrors.
Yeah, I vaguely remember both of those.
Dead and Buried is a lot better of a movie than you would expect. Like it's a lot more disgusting. I think it's because a lot of attention was given to the the special effects being very accurate, and it's a lot of corpses and a lot of like sort
I'm trying to
of
remember
embalming room, mortician kind of imagery.
Is
people getting prepared for burial?
Is Grandpa Joe from Willy Wonka in Dead and Buried?
I don't know. I really have no idea if he's in that.
Jack, I can't remember his last name. Call in if you know the Grandpa Joe who was in Dead and Buried.
If you're a Grandpa Joe historian, call in to email Johnny again at superdude.com/babygorilla_blue iris.
Rocco Siffredi.
Rocco Siffredi fan 69. Geez, this episode. I mean, this episode already. It feels directionless. I need to hunker down. I need to really think about what we're talking about here. So we have these two people, and this guy is kind of a loser, I guess. Like he's sort of this. Or is he a loser? He's kind of like, I guess, directionless. We later find out that he at one point was an aspiring novelist, but he was never able to make that kind of work for him. So he's just kind of working odd jobs. His youth is sort of slipping away, or it
But
kind
he
of,
does have a finished novel that I can't remember how, but somehow it comes up and Betty reads his novel.
well, I'll tell you how it comes up. It's like, because first of all, before we get into that, Betty is very volatile, and she's always like getting angry and throwing shit out the window. She's really, really big on throwing everything in a room out a window.
But also like he's like this guy Zorg. He's like he's living in one of these beach shacks, and the
Where's
landlord.
the beach? There's no water.
I guess there's
just
no
a desert.
water. It's just sand.
Yeah.
But he's got this landlord. And I guess he's living in this hut because he's like the handyman for this area of shacks,
Yeah.
desert shacks, and the landlord is going. I guess he's supposed to work for the landlord. The landlord is like shows up at his house and says like, "Hey, what the hell are you doing?" Oh, Zorg's in bed with Betty. And the landlord is like, "Yeah, I don't want this floozy living in the shack. If you're going to work for me and you want to live here, you got to get rid of her."
It's pretty.
So
it's pretty interesting how like when he shows up there and Zorg just has his fucking Zorg hanging out, and
he's got his Zorg hanging out quite often.
yeah. There's a lot of his fucking penis in this movie, but like he's kind of like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And he just kind of gets up with this guy like, kind of casually. He puts on pants out of a courtesy, but I mean, I think it feels like if it was just some guy that he knew, he would just keep his pants off. Zorg is very, very comfortable being nude. Also, he was really like, pretty unsurprised that this guy was just in his house, but that's not that big of a deal. The only point is,
Well, it seems like that probably happens often. This guy just waltzing into his house and telling him what to do.
Right.
But I think like that, and Betty doesn't know who this guy is. She starts freaking out, and Zorg is kind of like, no, calm down, it's okay. And it sort of initially establishes Zorg as being this kind of passive wimp who just takes it up the ass from his boss. And she kind of sort of suddenly not liking Zorg that much at that moment. But then at some point, this whole him being an author thing happens. Like she finds out that he's a writer.
it happens when she's throwing shit out the window, and she grabs like a box, and it spills open, and a bunch of like leather bound notebooks come out where he's written a novel through what feels like around like 8 to 10 notebooks longhand with his
Right.
with a pen, and he explains to her, "Oh yeah, I wrote a novel. It never really went anywhere, but it's done." And she's like, "Oh, I'm going to read it." She just turns on the light in the kitchen while he goes to sleep and spends all night just reading through the whole novel. Jesus fuck! My cat's pushing my computer with her head. Come here, big retard.
So he once she reads the novel, she loves it so much it completely alters her feelings about him.
He's a genius.
He's a genius. She loses all the bad feelings that she had towards him. Suddenly, she's like, this guy's great, and she is now kind of determined, this guy's a genius, and I'm going to help him, do whatever I can to help facilitate his novel getting published.
Right, so she there's that really great scene where she throws paint all over that guy's Jaguar.
Yeah, the landlord's Jaguar.
Yeah, and then also she makes like a little impromptu Molotov cocktail and just throws it inside the shack that they live in and burns down their house while they drive off, and then move to, I guess, Paris.
Right.
And
they move in with a friend. She has some friend of hers that owns a bed and breakfast type inn hotel place.
Yeah. Well, is that the pizza restaurant?
No, the pizza restaurant belongs to the woman who runs the inn. That's her boyfriend.
Right. Okay.
She starts a relationship with the pizza chef later on.
Well, okay, let's not get there yet. So they move to Paris, and Betty I actually really like this scene too, where like Betty is like has a typewriter and she's like a Hunt and Peck typer, and she's like, okay, page 1, and she's gonna type all of these longhand notebooks into a manuscript that they can send to a publisher, and
Right.
it's like fucking Sisyphus fucking trying to push the rock up the hill. Like she's so inexperienced at typing, and she keeps like making mistakes, and the room is full of balled up pieces of paper, and it's like, oh man, this is never going to be done. And then sort of the movie progresses, and then one day she's like, hey, guess what I'm typing right now? And he's like, what? And she's like, Fin, you know? And it's like, oh damn, you're done. So like she finishes one day. Another thing too is that before, I should mention also, there's a scene where she kisses his dick. She kisses his soft dick and calls
There's
it
also like
a sleepy slug.
there's also some heavy duty rug munching that happens in the hotel too.
Yeah, and it feels all that stuff, everything other than the penetration feels pretty much like unsimulated. You know, like I mean,
Right.
there's not really any way to like, you know, I mean, fuck, if you're gonna have your face like that into a woman's vagina, you might as well just actually lick her fucking vagina because you know, if you're trying to act, you know, you might as well just get that in there too. That's what I would do anyways.
Yeah, I get the sense that there was no intimacy coordinator on the set of this movie.
I don't even know really, like, I mean, I've heard that term before, and definitely we will be needing intimacy coordinators on Crossed. I think if you don't have one, it's almost like not having like safety people for like stunts and shit, you know?
Well, I know that I think Sean Baker did not have any intimacy coordinaters on Honora. Like he refused to have intimacy coordinators.
Huh. Interesting. Oh, and what was his rationale?
Say that again.
He didn't refuse. That the actors.
Oh, the actors, I guess, did not say. They said that we don't need intimacy coordinators.
Tell Seosie to come on the show for 5 minutes.
Don't spread
He says, "Come on the show for 5 minutes
Don't.
and correct the story."
Well, listen, you can't be, if you want to be on the show.
I just
Hi.
don't want Johnny to spread fake news about Sean Baker.
Right, I understand. You have a close relationship with him because he's
I'm a big fan of Sean Baker.
sure. We all are. All the three of us are all big fans of Sean Baker. So what the hell's going on? What are you working on right now? Can you tell us kind of what you're working on? Because you're so busy right now.
Oh, I have a few different things. Well, at the moment, I am working on posting sketches I did of myself dancing in my underwear for my Patreon.
Okay, we'll post that below. We'll post that below to
Please do.
our 140 listeners.
And then I'm also supposed to do some Blu-ray covers for Connie releasing.
All right. Can you?
Or I can't
can't say.
remember. I don't know if I can't say or not, but I can't remember the name of the Japanese director.
Well, it's
I
better
was-
if you
I
don't
wasn't
say
aware
it.
of him. Okay.
Okay, so yeah, I mean, you sound like you're pretty busy. It's all like illustration work, some of which is commissioned, some of which is your own personal endeavor.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get really quickly. We're talking about Betty Blue here, me and Johnny. It feels like we're just trudging through this thing like it's a swamp. Like I think we need you to come in here and maybe just help us to liven up the conversation a little bit. I mean, so Johnny said that you really don't have a whole lot to say about this movie, and you thought it was okay. Is that about accurate?
Yeah. I was kind of underwhelmed. It was very long, and
It
we
was
watched
very
it
long.
in two different sessions, like days apart.
Weeks apart.
Yeah, there was.
So yeah.
I'm not sure if you picked up on this, but like, there's that part where like Betty Blue ends up like, getting angry at that landlord dude early on, like when they're painting. I think it is when he throws the paint on the car. and then the guy goes, hey, look, she's on her period, all right? And he says that almost like it's just sort of he's making it up. It's an excuse, but then like the frequency and sort of like just the intermittent sort of moments where Betty just kind of freaks out and starts going crazy. It does seem to kind of like loosely line up with like around like once a month. And I'm thinking, is this movie just about some woman who just goes fucking mental? Like when her period gets close, you know?
I think it's more serious than that.
Okay. Because I really thought that kind of might have been actually what this movie was about. Like just bitches be crazy when they're on their period, you know?
I mean, I guess it could be. I don't know.
Okay.
But I don't think in the context of the movie that is what is supposed to be happening.
Okay. Well, listen, we'll let you go now. I don't mean to keep you from your work. But why don't you just quickly give us your rating of this film?
My rating?
Out of 5. In units of eggplant.
3. Maybe a 3.
3 out of 5.
I didn't hate it.
Great.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, the girl was very pretty and fun to watch. And
she's got teeth that are too big for her mouth, but I kind of like that.
It is interesting when somebody that good looking has like those types of weird facial features that are just like a little bit off. It makes it more intriguing in a way.
Yeah, I know. There's an actress.
She had a gummy smile.
I don't think so. I think she just had big teeth, like teeth.
Yeah, she had big teeth.
Okay.
Yeah, like just, and it's not like she had buck.
Register.
It's not like she had buck teeth. She just like all of her teeth. Like it's kind of like when Bart put Grandpa's dentures in that early.
But also,
episode.
like her mouth is also just big. So like when she would smile, it was just
she had a big wide.
So she had big teeth, but also a big wide smile too. It was
right, and all of this we like.
Very
this
compelling.
Is, sure, we like this lady's giant mouth and teeth. Sorry, Susie, go ahead.
Oh, I don't know. No, you go ahead.
Okay, I was going to say there's this actress who we see once in a while. I think she's probably going to have more roles. She was in a movie called Companion that came out recently. It's about like a girl who's like a robot. Like it's like you can get a robot girlfriend or something. And the actress's name is Sophie Thatcher. And if you ever see this movie, she has a very excuse me, unusual mouth also, because it seems like one half of her upper lip kind of is lower than the other half. And I know that sounds weird. It sounds like it's almost like the one side of the inside of her mouth is sticky and it sticks to her teeth. So when she expresses herself, only like half of it moves up. And so John is doing the face right now. He's kind of doing an Elvis.
Like Elvis?
Face. Yeah. But anyways, the thing is
Frankenhooker.
yeah, right. Frankenhooker does
God.
that. But it's also, I think it's similar because it does more to kind of make her memorable than it does to sort of be like, oh, that's an ugly girl. It's like, oh, that's just, I'm going to remember her. Because she's absolutely not ugly. You know, she's a very good looking young lady. But I don't know, it's funny to think about that because Johnny brought it up, how there's sometimes, you get some AI generated looking like face of a girl, just sort of like let's take all the pretty girls that have ever existed and then like compile them and make them into just sort of like the average, and it's like it tends to be pretty boring. But then you have like some girl with like some big teeth or like a fucking glass eye or like a horrible burn scar or like a missing nose or an extra nostril, and these things can create interest.
But it could just be like something subtle, like like a bigger nose than normal, or ears that stick out. Like it doesn't have to be like something like incredibly grotesque.
Just something to make you look like a normal person,
Yeah,
like a real person.
Like you look like a real person.
It's
a
like
specific person.
Tyla has like a big sort of protruding mole on her chin. Do you ever see that?
Who?
She's
Who's that?
Who's
is that her
Tyla?
name? Is that her name, Tyla? I think she's like she's the South African kind of like very like small, kind of, I think maybe at least half black girl, Tyla, singer.
I don't know.
Oh shit, it's not Tyla. What's her name again? She has that. God, I can't even remember the fucking song. Hold on, watch this. Watch this. I got it. Sexy, half black South African singer with a mole. Oh yeah, it's Tyla. Tyla. I was right.
Okay.
Like, she looks like this. Can you see that? But you can't see the mole.
Okay, I'm not aware of her.
I've never
at
seen her
all.
before in my life.
Really? Let me see how many Instagram followers she has. Just to see how famous she is. Tyla, Instagram. This is good radio. She's got 10.9 million followers on Instagram.
Just 10
Holy
followers.
shit.
That's fucking chicken feed compared to Lisa from Blackpink, though. Lisa from Blackpink has like 100 million followers on Instagram.
Damn.
By the way, damn is right. You ever see that show called The
Good
White
for
Lotus?
Lisa. Yeah, we talked about it before. Like I
watched it
saw
on
like
a
the
plane.
first couple episodes of season. I thought it was season
I
one,
literally just watched my first episode of it. Like, was that like 2 days ago with
Yeah.
Johnny?
what's the date?
Season 2.
Yeah,
Because
Friday.
I was like, I just been hearing about it so much. I just couldn't. I can't. I don't watch a lot of. I don't keep up with like TV and stuff normally.
that
but
shit-
I can't stand it anymore. I have to see what the fuck this is about.
Right. It really does fall into the category of like just slop that you put on. Like you get home from work, you sit down with like the person that you live with, and then like and then
Whatever
you,
that is.
and then you fucking eat. You sit at the in the living room and you just eat food and shovel food in your mouth
You
while
eat
you just kind
slop.
of are entertained by
Watch
this
slop.
thing. Yeah, which really is just to like so you don't have to talk to each other or like listen to the voice the fucking existential dread voices going on in your head. It's just
So
a
is
sort
that
of
a positive review?
well, it's a little. I mean, it does fall into that category, unfortunately, because it is sort of like a, it is just one of. That's probably why it's so popular, also. But the thing too is that it actually is like a little bit better written than it needs to be. Although the new season that takes place in Thailand, I kind of don't really like it all that much because I've been to Thailand a couple times and it's like they're just spending so much time at the hotel and they're eating every meal at the hotel restaurant and it's like. You guys should be over here doing this, or you guys should be over here doing this. At least in the second season, sometimes they'll leave the hotel and they'll go have dinner in town, or they'll go check out something in town. They'll do something in Sicily. Whereas in the Thailand one, so far, it just seems like they're sticking around this resort, and it's
Maybe
like
they're afraid of tidal waves.
yeah. Actually, that is something that comes up early on. Like some lady has like a dream about it. I guess that's what Americans think of. They think of tidal waves and having sex with young boys. That's like
That's what I think about every day.
That's what you think about when you go to Thailand. Anyways, okay, so 3 out of 5 eggplants from Seosie. We'll keep that in mind. Pretty middle of the road.
I guess I'll say one more thing about it. What didn't work for me was it's a little too cute. How
Whimsical.
yeah, whimsical. Like
A lot of sort of
I-
like funny characters, like the
Albino. Or the
Like
albino's wife.
like the mattress hating garbage man.
All right.
Like little characters like that are kind of like sprinkled throughout the movie for no reason other than to kind of make a little quirky funny moment.
I watched Amelie recently because somebody commissioned me to do some paintings from it, and I had seen it once a long time ago, but I rewatched it recently, and that's like the ultimate like whimsical, cute
Yeah.
kind of movie. I don't know if it's like a French thing, but like I feel like Betty Blue was nowhere near that level of whimsy, but it had some. It reminded me of that on some small level, and I'm allergic to that.
Right. I was gonna mention Delicatessen, but you mentioned Amelie, which is the same dude, the same
Right.
But it's funny because that guy, the
Alien 4.
guy that's in those movies, he has like a little cameo.
Oh, he was a heroin dealer, or a
Yeah, he's like a drug dealer in the bathroom that you're
Right.
initially supposed to think that he wants to fuck Zorg, but then it turns out that he's just wants to sell him some coke.
Yeah, initially you think he wants to suck a little bit of Zorg, but instead
He wants
they
to
just-
kiss Zorg's soft slug.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. I actually, to be honest, I didn't really think of this movie as having like a lot of like whimsical, kooky characters. I didn't think of it that way at all. But now that
But
you
you
mention
watched
it,
the 3-hour version, right?
oh yeah, absolutely. That's
Okay.
actually it's kind of like difficult to find the 2-hour version these days.
Okay.
It's kind of the only one that's available to watch.
Well, like
But,
the hook hand garbage man.
Yeah,
scene.
the mattress
Yeah,
eating guy.
much.
he hates mattresses, or like the cop that they have to deliver like the piano on the logging truck, and the cop stops them and it's like singing a song to them and stuff, like little cute little like, oh, isn't this like a quirky little town?
Right. Isn't life just full of wonderful little miracles?
Yeah.
Yeah, just like those types of moments that are not in the edited version. Like none of that is,
Oh, so-
all that is cut out.
Oh, okay.
All that is gone.
You remember all that? You remember that, like, kind of that wasn't there?
I'm pretty sure that it was not there. The I mean, yeah, or like the scene when he gets the first time Zorg. I mean, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but the first time Zorg dresses up as a woman out of the blue and just robs a sort of security office, and there's like the sort of porn obsessed kid working at the office who falls in love with Zorg because he's
Right.
dressed as a woman.
What? I didn't catch that.
He's like he seems
Falls
to.
in love with her?
Well, maybe not love. I mean, I'm getting a little extreme, but
He's
he
like,
definitely.
that is the most beautiful woman I've ever seen.
Zorg gives him like a phone because he like wants Zorg's phone number.
I was zoning out, I guess.
So,
I gotta be honest. I kind of zoned out a little bit. I mean, there are certain scenes.
I
that
Zorged
really-
out. That's what I was doing.
Yeah, we all Zorged out, and then Zorg pulls out his Zorg, and we see that fucking Zorg flopping around, and all of a sudden I'm completely
That is
invested
a
in the movie
great
again,
name for a character, Zorg.
for sure. It sounds like he's like a fucking alien from a Dimension X. But I guess like, okay, so in terms of just like the scenes that I like that scene a lot in the restaurant where she's fighting with that fucking lady, and then they put garbage on her pizza and then serve it back to her. Like that made
Yeah,
me
that's great.
so revolted. Like I was just like no, like I can't even watch shit like that. It's the equivalent of like like a scene where they're pulling out someone's fingernails with pliers or something. You know, like I can't even look at it. But and then there's that, and then there's also like all this stuff, this kind of sad stuff at the end, where like Betty thinks she's pregnant and then she's not pregnant, and then she goes crazy, and then he has to sneak into the sanitarium and like kill her with a pillow and all this shit. Like I like all that stuff too, but I mean, you're right. Like all the little bits of sort of whimsy filler, I kind of block that out. You know, like I just don't remember it. Like it's like selective memory sort of thing. But when you're because for example, like the piano, moving a piano on a truck sort of thing. Like I mean, I have the most vague memory of them lowering a piano from like the
Right,
top.
and then like that never, like there's moments like that that don't really mean anything or lead anywhere. Or like remember the scene when the albino grocery guy, his son locks himself in the bathroom and like has turned the tub on, and then Zorg gets a ladder and has to like break into the bathroom. Like he climbs
Right.
up the ladder and smashes the window and has to get the kid out. Like that scene serves no real purpose.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Do you remember a movie? I've been trying to think of what movie this is. There's a movie where like some guy gets like locked in a bathroom, and then the water, like I think he's taking a shower or something, and like he turns on the water, and then the water's like the faucet breaks, so like the water's coming out uncontrollably, and he can't get out of the bathroom, and the water starts to fill up, and the whole bathroom fills up, and he drowns to death in the bathroom. Do you know of a movie where this happens?
No, but I remember there was that Chris Elliott show where he gets like a little mini submarine from a cereal box, and he fills the shower, like he has a glass shower, and he fills it all the way to the top with water, and he puts his submarine in the shower.
Yeah, I think that was
Get a Life.
That was actually it.
It was Get a Life.
Okay. Great. Well, okay. I don't even feel like talking about Betty Blue anymore, to be honest. You know, like I like this movie and I recommend it. And it's like, I feel also that like, just from a craftsman point of view, like in terms of like it being shot and kind of, you know, whatever technical filmmaking stuff, like it's strong enough in that regard that like I can give it a much higher mark than maybe I normally would. Like maybe like I'd give it a 4, but after Seosie kind of reminded me of like how kind of saccharine and bullshitty the movie is, I'll take it down to a 3.5. I get a 3.5 to Betty Blue.
Well, I just want to say that I feel like this movie, there's a good movie here. It needs to be a 2-hour version. I think like there's a lot of excess stuff in the 3-hour version that doesn't need to be there. I feel like the moment they leave Paris and they move, you know, they have to go to the pizza man's mother's funeral, and then the pizza man gives him his mother's piano store to run. Once that chapter starts, the movie kind of loses its momentum. Like suddenly, like we kind of forget about the book, his dreams of being an author.
We never really know what that book's about either. Do they ever tell us like what it's about?
No.
No.
It's just
Although
brilliant.
it is a great scene when they go and when they're in Paris and they go and visit the critic, or not the critic, the book publisher that hates his book, and
Right.
and Betty like physically attacks him and like cuts his face.
Yeah, I like how they. I mean, right there actually is a little tell, like of, you know, the kind of director this guy is. Like how they characterize that book publisher. He's wearing like this.
Oh yeah, he's a total queen.
Like a
He looks
white,
like he just like stepped out of La Cage aux Folles or something.
It's exactly. It's like a white, like a snow tiger like robe.
Like zebra robe and a
Yeah, and he's got this goofy ass like apartment with all these like it's all like
tchotchkes.
just full of like you know, the sort of French like classic ornamentation. Like it's kind of like an old grandma's kind of apartment or something.
Right.
Because just as you say, he's an old queen.
But yeah, once they leave Paris and they move to this small town, and then it becomes sort of like, oh, look at our quirky life in the small town with the funny garbage man and the cute albino grocer whose wife is horny, and you know, the funny cops and like all the sort of cute little things going on, and it starts to it loses focus. And then when Betty starts to fall apart and she starts to lose her mind and she stabs her eye out and then has to go to the hospital, it feels like and then Zorg goes to visit her in the hospital and gets kicked out, and then the only way he can get back into the hospital is to dress as a woman, and he seems to terminate Betty fairly quickly without a lot of sort of consideration. Like maybe she'll get better. Maybe there's like it's almost like it seems to happen within a few hours of him like seeing her in her sort of sick state, and suddenly he just like decides like, I'm gonna sneak back into the hospital dressed as a woman and kill her One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest style. And it makes me feel like all the time that's spent on all the kind of like nonsense stuff, like the garbage man or the robbing the it's not a bank, but whatever, the
Like an armored truck.
armored truck company, and sort of like all that kind of nonsense stuff that we wasted time on, it would have been interesting to see him really struggle with, like, should I, should I kill Betty, or maybe there's some way that she can be salvaged in some, or saved, or like maybe she'll recover. Maybe I can save her in some way. Like he doesn't seem to consider that at all. And
I mean, either that,
so,
or if there was just a better reason. Like, I like when the movie gets darker, when she destroys her eye, I thought that was like, okay, I'm really back into this again.
No, I like that too. But yeah, I felt like there could have been more emotion mined out of that scenario about him, like, struggling with this decision of, like, oh, should I kill my this girlfriend that I love so much, or should I maybe try to save her, like do something to save her? Like, there's no, like, he seems to not spend any time thinking about it, because we spent the last hour with the funny garbage man and the moving the piano on the big truck and the, like, all sorts of other, like, silly things.
Yeah. What was the she thinks that she's pregnant, but then she's not pregnant, and like, what's the, like, how does that like, is one of the reasons why, that's the reason why she gets all fucked up. Why, like, it's kind of the
well, it triggers it.
Right,
She
the
clearly has
catalyst.
some underlying condition.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think there's clearly something wrong with her from the jump. Like, she has, like, some kind of strange mental issue, like, where she,
BPD or...
Yeah, she's, like, burning down houses and attacking people and...
BPD, Boogie Down Productions, with KRS-One.
Borderline personality
Oh, right.
disorder.
The
But
movie...
yeah, that reason didn't make sense to me, though, because, like, she said she has an IUD, but can't you take the IUD out? I'm pretty sure.
I really have no idea about
But,
anything
like, yeah, also just...
like that.
Just, okay, so you thought you were pregnant, but you weren't pregnant. Like, that's not that tragic of an event.
Yeah. The fucking...
Just take the IUD out and get pregnant if you want to get pregnant.
For some reason, when I remember the edited version, I had this, like, I just had this memory in my head that, like, she got sick, she like became more and more, like, schizophrenic or mentally ill, and then he decided to sort of kill her, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest style. But I guess my memory was wrong, that she was just upset about not getting pregnant, and so decided to stab her eye out.
I feel like there wasn't enough drama that, like, justified that. And none of the drama really worked for me.
Really? Like, you didn't, like, what about just on a more, like, I don't know, I guess, like, a more, like, emotional level, I really think that the movie, like, the relationship between the two, I really buy. I believe it, and I feel like I get why he loves her and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like,
she's super hot.
Well, she's super hot, like, in terms of physical, but, like, I don't know, even just, like,
Well, she's quirky and
like, but also how
manic
down
pixie dream girl.
But she also
right.
seems
That's
to,
what I was trying to remember. But
she also seems to
super
believe
down.
in.
Yeah,
She also seems to
believes in
believe in him as like, what his dream to be an author. Like, she's the only one who has seen his work and believes in it.
Right. The movie's title in French is 37. What the fuck is this? It's like 37 degrees 2 in the morning, or 37.2 degrees Celsius in the morning, or whatever. And it's like, apparently 37.2 degrees Celsius has something to do with being pregnant. It's like, that's what your body temperature is like, or some shit. I read about that. So I guess, like, the fucking, that's what the title of the movie is in French. So it's kind of like, that's a big deal, I suppose. Like, you're supposed to take that into consideration when you watch the film. But I don't know. I'm just trying to make sense of this whole thing. You're right. Like, why doesn't she just fucking queef out that IUD and then try again to have a baby?
Yeah.
Or it's just sort of like, okay, you didn't get pregnant this time. Well, okay, try again. Like, it's not, you don't have to stab your eye out.
Yeah, but ultimately, I don't think that was, like, supposed to be, like, the reason that she goes crazy. Like you said earlier, she because he already has mental issues. But like, even that, it just seemed kind of like even if that's realistic for whatever she has, just her going crazy randomly doesn't it just I don't know, maybe because I haven't experienced somebody going crazy in my life, but it's hard for me as the viewer to like really connect with that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why she's just suddenly acting crazy and
it does seem to go from
violent.
it does seem to go from like 1 to 100. Like 1 minute she's kind of like she's doing kind of crazy little things here and there, but then all of a sudden she's like insanely suicidal and stabbing her eye out and shit,
Right.
and like just completely lost her mind.
What's your rating for the film, Johnny? At the end, when everything's all said and done, when the bucks are on the barrel, I do think that there is, if somebody would go in and edit this thing properly, I do think that there is a decent movie here. I would also give it a 3 eggplant rating. Right.
And I think that if you ever get your hands on the edited version, I'd probably give it a 3.5.
Oh, really? You prefer the edited version?
I think so. Although, like, if there was a way to, because I felt like there was more nudity in the unedited, the longer version. If there was some way to make sure that nudity got into the shorter version, I think you would have a really good, solid movie with that.
Someone should just make like a super cut of just the sex.
If somebody just made a YouTube video of just the sex scenes, I'd give that 4 stars.
Well, you couldn't put that on YouTube. You'd have to put that on Pornhub or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think editing it down could really save it for me, because I feel like there's something missing.
Right. Well,
really like in the ending, because you don't. I just feel like there's something missing between the like, in the interactions between her and the guy, when they're struggling with the relationship and when she's going crazy. I feel like most of the movie, they're just frolicking around, having crazy adventures, and everything's going fine and it's fun. And then it's just so sudden that she.
Yeah, that's why I think it's about her period. I'm deadly serious.
And then you don't really get to see her really like acknowledging what she's going through and like talking about it with him and like trying to work it out or anything. Like, it's just. Do you think that there's sort of like an aspect of this movie that's kind of like, I'm not sure how to phrase this. I mean, the best word I can think of is like chauvinistic. Like it's too much from like the guy's perspective, where it's just kind of like, this fucking bitch is fucking sexy, but she's also fucking crazy. And like, you know how it is, bitches they get their period and they're fucking crazy and they just freak out.
I think a little bit.
I actually think you're right.
I think so. I think this definitely feels, I was talking to a friend of mine
like
about
it's
it.
an underwritten female character.
And he was sort of saying this movie feels like it's from the perspective of, like, it's written from like the perspective of like a real sort of wimpy virgin boy, like this sort of fantasy relationship of meeting this sort of beautiful woman who is self-destructive and basically just kind of like super hot, fucks whenever you want, loves everything you do,
kisses your soft dick when you're sleeping,
and then sort of offs herself.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. I still think
in a tragic way, and then you're kind of like left behind to sort of like, hey, I went through it and I had this amazing experience, and he it just on the basis of the fact that he just sort of is able to toss her sort of aside, kill her without any kind of thought or too much thought.
Right.
Like once she sort of stops being what he wants her to be, it's sort of like, okay, you serve no purpose.
Right.
Time to kill you.
Isn't that always how it goes? Like you meet a girl and she's full of all sorts of like vibrance and energy. We've talked about this before. And you even said there's an Ingmar Bergman movie that actually addresses this directly. But anyways, like you meet a girl and she's all full of vibrance and energy and that's what attracts you to her. And then like you end up kind of getting in her life and then like vampiring out all that energy. And then like when she's kind of this husk that doesn't have that anymore, then you look at her and you say, what happened to you, and then you end up leaving her, and it's just like that just is a tale as old as time, like a tale as old as time. And then as you get older, you kind of realize like, oh yeah, it's entirely because of me, and it's just me like taking for granted like the it's entirely just me being shitty and taking for granted like someone actually opening up and creating a connection with me, and me just kind of fully abusing that, Mm-hmm. But that's not what this movie is about at all. Like that's not what Betty Blue is about at all.
No.
So fuck Betty Blue. Still 3.5 for me because I think the filmmaking is good, and just based on the strength of the performances, it's hard for me not to like.
Performances are good. It looks good, and like I said, that first chapter is very good. I really like that whole part with that's probably as good as it gets. Is that beginning part in the desert shacks. It's well done, and I mean it is sort of compelling in a way where I was watching it and I was interested in where it was going, and I was interested in Zorg and what was going to happen to these two. So yeah, that's to its credit.
What was that Ingmar Bergman movie that you?
I think you're thinking of. I think you are thinking of Scenes from a Marriage.
No, it's not Scenes from a Marriage. It's not that. That's not what that one's about. You mentioned another one that's like, but anyway, we can figure that out later. Put that in the comments below, for the listeners of the podcast. This isn't even something that you'd have to like, what do you call it? This isn't even something that you'd have to know the movie. You would just have to know like a conversation that happened on a previous podcast. So this is a question to like those Public Figures podcast super fans out there. What am I doing now? I guess I'm done talking about this Betty Blue movie. We're almost at an hour. Let me just tell you real quick. I saw a movie yesterday called Novocaine. Have you seen the ads for this movie?
No, but it's the #1 movie in the United States.
Really? It's really fucking stupid, and I hate the precedent that it sets.
I don't even know anything about it.
It's about Jack Quaid, Dennis Quaid's son. Dennis Quaid, who is just in The Substance. But anyways, sure. He is a guy who can't feel pain. Like he has some sort of like neurological disorder that affects his nervous system where he can't feel pain. And
sure.
And he ends up like he's an assistant manager at a bank, and the bank gets robbed, and they take a cashier or not a cashier, a bank teller hostage. But he's gone out on a date with her before, and he loves her or whatever. So then like he kind of takes it upon himself to chase them down, and he kind of utilizes this ability he has of not being able to feel pain to kind of like kill them. So it's like this. It's a real time movie. Like it pretty much this bank robbery happens, and it's just him jumping into a cop car and chasing them. And it's not like something that happens over a bunch of days. It's something that happens over like a few hours. So like I appreciate a film like that, but there's just the biggest issue with the film in my mind is just that it's like it's supposed to be this sort of like, first of all, Jack Quaid, like I think that he's become pigeonholed as playing this sort of like 90s Hugh Grant character where he's just kind of like maybe I should just open the door for you. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have. I'm
Sort
just
of
gonna stop
confused.
talking. Like he's just charmingly befuddled all the time. Like it's just this sort of like.
What other movies has he been in?
He was in that movie Companion, where he kind of plays the same character, but like a little bit of a darker kind of version, because he actually is, I guess, the villain of the film. He's also in The Boys, like on the Garth Ennis TV show, The Boys.
Yeah, I never saw it.
Anyways, all I'm trying to say is that like, there's that aspect. So there's a lot of like one-liners, a lot of jokes, a lot of quips, a lot of very rom-com kind of humor. But then it's also very gory, and it just there. This is an instance where I don't like gore. This is an instance where like I feel it's like it's ugly, and I don't like it when it's mixed with sort of comedy this way, and it feels very consequenceless. It's just like supposed to be funny when people are being like tortured or like, you know, like, because the violence is like fairly intense, like I wouldn't say intense, but it's fairly extreme in this film, but it doesn't have any weight. So that's the problem, is it's not that it's too gory and it's grossing me out, but it's not, there's no consequence to any of it. So it's just like,
Right.
this is
like
just
a Looney Tunes cartoon.
yeah. And so there's nothing interesting, or there's no stakes going on here, because the tone of the film is this goofy thing. And I was just thinking last night, like spending like a couple hours just like thinking, trying to put my finger on what's bothering me about it, and that's the conclusion I came to. So this movie Novocaine, I really don't like this kind of movie at all. There was another one that was about like, that came out a few years ago, or like two years ago, or maybe 1 year ago, where like there's like Santa Claus or some shit, and Santa Claus is like killing some bank robbers. I forget what it was. Do you remember this one? It stars like
The one with
David.
Goldberg?
No, that's not. That one's called Santa's Sleigh. Sleigh as in SLAY.
Yeah,
But
I'm gonna go back to work.
right. Bye, Susie. See you later.
Bye.
But yeah, this fucking movie Novocaine is like really fucking upsetting, and I don't like these kinds of movies.
I remember seeing billboards around town for that Stranger Things guy in some Santa movie, but
Let me find out real quickly what that fucking movie's called.
I never saw it.
So what? How do you
Reindeer
search for that?
Games,
No, it's like
Stranger Things guy in Santa movie.
That's right. Stranger Things guy in Santa movie. And it's called Violent Night.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's fucking stupid. I don't like that shit. I don't like that sort of comedy kind of one-liner stuff where like, you know, nothing matters, and like, and the guys who are getting killed, like, you know, this is what one thing they do in the movie where they there's like a tattoo artist, and one of these guys who he's tracking down, he has a tattoo on his arm, and he manages to get a picture of it, and then he's like, he sends it to his friend, and he's like, look at this tattoo, and go on the internet and try to like image match it to like a tattoo and find out like who did that tattoo. First of all, first of all, that doesn't make any sense at all. Like, you can't. That's impossible to do. But this guy comes back and he ends up saying, "Oh, it was done at fucking 123 fucking Walnut Street or whatever." So he goes over there and he finds this tattoo artist. The tattoo artist is like this giant, huge, muscle-bound guy, and then you notice that he's got a big swastika on his neck. He's got it tattooed on his neck, right? So you're like, okay, he's bad. And then later on, the guy's like, oh yeah, so that guy Ben, you gave him this tattoo. I want to get one just like it. Hey, you know that guy Ben? Like, you would not believe how his last name is pronounced. Like, why don't you go ahead and say it for me and I'll correct you. Like, he does that to try to get his last name or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But then the
I
tattoo,
always fall for that trick.
the tattoo guy catches on, and he's like, you're dead now or whatever, and then they get into a big fight, and then our main character ends up like jamming a bunch of broken glass into his knuckles and then punching him in the face and destroying his eyes, like blinding him forever, and it's kind of like this would be entirely uncalled for, except for like the fact that he had the swastika on his neck. Like that swastika's put on his neck just so that it's okay for us to, you know what I'm saying? Like it's okay for us to
destroy his face.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like, this scene goes a little bit too far. Like this guy is just kind of trying to be a tattoo artist, and he invites this guy in to exchange money for a service, and then this guy tries to get information of him. This guy doesn't give it up, and then he ends up, getting his face like permanently destroyed and his vision taken from him for the rest of his life. It doesn't, and we're supposed to still be on the side of this main character. This isn't kind of evening out. The checks and balances aren't kind of balancing out. Okay, we put a swastika on his neck, and all of a sudden it's okay. it's not that like, I'm sympathetic to Nazis, but it's just lazy writing. It's like, oh,
Right.
like I'll put in the parenthetical. He, type. He has a swastika tattoo. Therefore, every imaginable form of violence is okay to do on this guy, even though that he doesn't actually do anything in the film that would warrant such violence.
Other than just make tattoos.
Other than just be a tattoo artist. But anyways, that's what I wanted to say about Novocaine. It's a stupid movie, and I didn't like it.
Got it.
Yep. So you don't have to see.
If you have no ability to feel pain, can you feel pleasure?
Yeah. That's addressed in the film. When he gets
Okay.
his Zorg sucked.
I was going to say, like, is he able to feel sexual feelings and enjoy them, or is it same? It's just he can't feel anything.
No, I mean he can like jerk off. Like he just can't feel pain. Like I guess it's different or whatever. Like he can get it. He can like jerk off and he can like get horny and stuff. But then you're also thinking like like he wouldn't respond to things like having his hair pulled or his nipples tweaked or anything like that, or his balls
Right.
punched like a speed bag. He wouldn't get off on
Those
any
are
of
all the things that I like.
Those are the things that I like as well. That's why we have such a similar taste in film. Anyways,
Like that's what I was going to say. How can it be enjoyable at all if you can't have any of those painful experiences?
Johnny is very into S&M.
Salami and meatballs.
Salami and meatball.
Because I'm Italian.
That's true. Noted sadomasochist fanatic and Italian, Johnny Ryan. Okay, so listen, let's end this episode. This was a kind of a failure of an episode. Sorry, everybody out there. I apologize for this one, but don't worry, we'll be back with a better one next time. Bye.
Will we? Bye.